All right, good Tuesday evening, Mid Michigan. Looks like our audio is hopefully working. Please let me know if it is not working. I've double checked everything this afternoon. Audio has been my kryptonite with these streams. So please let me know if that is not working. I'm going to test it on Facebook, and it looks like we're in business here. So just wanted to give you a quick update on some storms that are passing through this evening. We do have one severe thunderstorm warning that is currently in place for Lapeer and Tuscola County. It is primarily that northern tip of Lapeer County, that northwestern side, and also it looks like it's primarily the southwestern half of Tuscola County. The latest on this morning, as it has been passing through, is that it's moving off to the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. And the primary concern that we've had with some of these storms as we have been going through tonight has been primarily just the wind risk, with these storms. And as we've gone off to the north and east here, it does look like if we zoom in, there is an area here that is just to the south of Mayville that is occasionally flared up with some darker shades of red, almost purple at times. So it would not shock me if there's at least a little bit of hail mixing in with this storm. The National Weather Service warning bulletin has allowed for the possibility of some pea-sized hail embedded within this storm system. But hail hasn't really been the primary concern with this as it's been coming through. It's been mostly that torrential rain threat along with some of those stronger wind gusts. And we'll jump over to see if we can get a good read on some of the wind velocity here. And it looks like the primary area of concern when it comes to the wind is right around the Mayville area, extending up into Tuscola County. If we zoom in just a little bit more, almost right along M46. If I can get this arrow up here, it's right around Mayville and then extending in this direction as we move off to the north and east. So right around that East Dayton, Kingston, at least on the west side of town. I think you should probably at least be preparing for maybe a good pop of wind that's coming in your direction here very soon. Definitely looks like the radar's not measuring the strongest winds, but that oftentimes just depends on where the radar is next to the surface. It's expecting winds of around 49 miles per hour here, 53 miles per hour here. But again, just keep in mind that it doesn't always necessarily tell the whole story. What I'm usually looking for is these brighter areas of red that pop up and even starting to get into some of the pink shades. These are where we've got the strongest winds in that storm that's moving off to the north and east. If I put some motion on it here, you can see that most of it seems to be moving towards that Kingston area, at least the wind part of that storm. If we zoom out and look a little bit further to the west, the wind threat is not quite as pronounced as it is in this Mayville area. We've got some wind that's near the Vassar area, but this is the place that really stands out to me as this is moving off to the north and east. If I flip back over to the radar here, you can see that we've also got some pretty good lightning that's been happening with some of these cells too as they've been passing through the area this evening. So just want you aware of these as they've been moving through. I'll zoom out on a bigger picture here just to give you a full scope of what's going on. It seems like the area that's more towards the west side of that warning and that area that's a little bit more into Saginaw County, not necessarily in the warned part of the storm, but sort of on the western edge of that. Doesn't look quite as strong as what is currently passing through Tuscola County right now. But I would definitely get inside if you're in the Mayville area, not necessarily expecting anything really tornadic with this storm as it moves through, but some pretty good gusts. We've seen some minor damage reported to us with some of the earlier warnings tonight. And when I say minor, anytime we're talking about damage, I don't say that to really diminish anyone's damage or anything like that. But what we have seen thus far looks like mostly branches down, maybe some lawn furniture that has been toppled over a bit. Haven't seen much more than that. I know there's been some other areas of damage that have been a little bit further to the south towards the Detroit area, or at least south of the TV5 viewing area, where we've had some damage to what looks like a mobile home, where we had some damage that certainly affected somebody's life tonight in their livelihood and their home. So that's something that we hope we do not replicate here. But it does show that some of these storms that have passed through the state this evening have meant business as they have gone through. So just a reminder, because we have had some folks join since we have started this stream tonight, We do have that severe thunderstorm warning for primarily Tuscola County, but that northern edge of Lapeer County, you're included in that as well. You're close enough to some of those stronger winds in that area of the line near Mayville that you're included in this until 7:45 as well. So roughly another 40 minutes or so. Wouldn't be shocked if a lot of this warning gets trimmed out here on the backside of this very soon. Coming up with that next update, but certainly something that we wanted to quickly do a live stream with you tonight, just to make sure that you were kind of aware of what was going on. We are under the marginal risk that is in place for this evening. Certainly looks like we'll keep that going for at least the next couple of hours, but right now it seems like most of the severe weather threat as we've gone throughout this evening is already done. I think this is probably going to be our last push of it as this part is coming through. So we'll be here with you just to be on the safe side tonight, but as it moves through the thumb here, I think this is primarily what's left. We've got also a few cells that are just to the west moving through areas like Owasso or just south of Owasso in Shiawassee County, getting set to move back towards the Genesee County area. But considering we've already had some pretty healthy thunderstorms move through that part of the region, I think the severe weather threat with at least this part is relatively low compared to what it was a little bit earlier on tonight. It does still have a lot of lightning with it and torrential rain. As long as we've had all of this humidity lately, there's certainly no absence of moisture. And so you're seeing that not only with the severe warn cell that is currently moving through to Tuscola and Lapeer counties, but also with some of these cells that are a little bit farther back. You see some of those around Chesaning and just to the north, one just to the east of M52 now. Looks like it's primarily moving towards the Bridgeport area between Saginaw and Birch Run. And we also heard some of that heavy rain on our rooftop here at the station. Definitely felt some of that on our roof, and it looks like we've had a couple of lightning strikes go by as well. So just to look at some of the comments here, Deborah said clouds real dark over Tittabawassee Road. And yeah, we saw some of that towards the end of our 6 o'clock newscast for tonight. Did see some really ominous clouds on our downtown Saginaw camera. Sharon also reporting it's getting pretty dark outside. Eddie Middow says getting dark in Kingston, which is right around where that severe thunderstorm warning is. And then Amy reporting some sideways rain towards the Frankenmuth area. I can believe that considering what we just felt here at our studio. So again, going back to the wind velocity, it looks like we are seeing some of those values come down a little bit as it moves towards Kingston. It's also getting farther away from the radar, so just keep that in mind. But a really good pop of bright pink there right as it went through Mayville. So I'm going to back this up just a little bit and see if I can get a sample of maybe what the radar was indicating with some of those winds. So about 57, 51, 55, close enough to where there were some 60-mile-per-hour winds likely in there that triggered that warning. But it does appear that as it's moved off here, let me clear those off just so you can see it a little bit better. As we've kind of gone out in time, some of those brighter shades of pink have really started to fade away. I would say if you are just to the south of Mayville, or if you know anybody that's just to the southwest of Mayville, right around Millington, also, if anyone has had any damage reports in that area, would certainly like to have them. Would expect them to be straight line wind damage areas. Not really seeing anything that jumps out to me as far as anything that rotates tonight. Obviously keep an eye on it like we always do, but it seems like this is mostly just a downburst or straight line wind type of scenario this evening. Going back to some of our reflectivity here, just the traditional way of looking at the radar. Some heavy rain just to the east of Mayville now, right around Silverwood and just to the northwest of Clifford. Looks like some of this is headed towards Coyleton as well. Denise says pretty dark in the Reese area. So appreciate all the reports. Let me see if I can get even some radar estimated rainfall totals on some of this. Now these aren't perfect, but they can at least illustrate what we're talking about. Yeah, some of these rainfall totals coming down at rainfall rates, I should say, between about 1.5 inches to 2 inches per hour, maybe as much as 2.5 inches per hour. This is also not a perfect measurement, but it can really give you a sense of the downpours that are happening there. Not seeing as much with a hail signature anymore. Did briefly see some areas that seem to go up to more of a purple or pink shade. which typically indicates that there's some hail there. Not seeing that as much anymore. Also some pretty heavy rain. This is the section that just went over our studios in downtown Saginaw. Some heavy rain that's working its way towards Indiantown and M15, getting set to move into Saginaw County and then briefly into Bay County as well. Sort of that southeastern corner of Bay County. Tanya, I don't expect that tonight. Tanya asking about a tornado threat tonight. That's not our primary concern. Again, seems like more of a straight line wind threat this evening. If you're just joining the stream, severe thunderstorm warning in place for Tuscola and northern Lapeer County. These go until about 7:45. I do think we'll be able to cut out areas like Millington with the next update here from the Weather Service. Millington, it looks like you're in the clear at this point. The worst of it seems to be by you. Mayville, you're going to be coming out of this here very soon. Just to the southwest of Millington, you're clear of this warning too, and even some of these cells that are extending back into Shiawassee County, not seeing as many strong areas of radar reflectivity that we saw a little bit earlier tonight. So still some good downpours headed towards Vernon, headed towards Durand, currently passing through Bennington, and just to the south of Owasso. Those areas not warned at the current time. Don't look like they're even under a special weather statement from the Weather Service either, so that's a good sign. It's really just that primary area with the warning that we're seeing some of that. I'll leave that up. I'll see if I can get the DTE outage map or consumers outage map. I know we're starting to get into DTE territory once we start getting into the thumb. But just off the top of my head, don't exactly remember where those boundaries are. Okay, so it does look like we've got a few power outages in that Mayville and Millington area. Seems like we've got about 4 customers without power in one area, and then about 11 customers without power between Millington and Mayville as well. Considering that wind signature, not surprised by that. Millington, looks like we've got a few customers out there. Also just to the west of Millington, just southeast of Frankenmuth, north of Baja Acres. Got a few outages there. They're pretty sporadic, but still, the fact that we have outages illustrates some pretty good wind that came through there. A few around Elba in Lapeer County. Let me see what time some of these are. And again, that warning's still in place until about 7:45. The DTE outage map doesn't seem to be giving as much detail as the consumers map. I'll check the consumers map just to be proactive here. Looks like we've got a handful of outages in Shiawassee County. Looks like just to the north of Owasso. And there's the trim out of that warning. That is for just southeastern Tuscola County now. This is continuing to go until about 7:45. This is the latest update from the Weather Service. So like I was telling you, we are trimmed out in Millington. And then that section that's a little bit farther to the west near Vassar and extending into northeastern Saginaw County and southern Bay County. Some good rain, some cloud-to-ground lightning, and potentially some sub-severe wind gusts, but doesn't seem like it's enough to warn. The Weather Service has that under a special weather statement for winds up to about 50 miles per hour, but haven't seen any changes to that for quite a while now. The latest warning, still for 60 mile per hour winds and hail that's less than an inch in diameter. So it looks like it's less than 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So likely some pea-sized hail, maybe a little bit bigger in some of the strongest cells. Let's take a look at the comment section. Denise says raining pretty hard in Reese. Julie says, can anyone hear him at all? Thanks, June, for confirming that the volume is fine. The microphone we've got is loud as we can go. It's So let me try moving it up a little bit. Hopefully that's better. Andrew, is that better? June can hear me, but it seems like we're still having at least a few areas that, or a few people who are saying it's a little bit low. Could just be how quiet I'm talking. Try not to yell in the newsroom. But regardless, we've got some power outages. Let's zoom back in on that area that's right around Tuscola County just to see what the wind is doing. Yeah, it looks like it's not quite as strong on radar as it was earlier, but likely still a good pop of wind coming into Kingston and Coylton Township, or just to the south of East Dayton. Yeah, let me see. Is this a little bit better with the mic? How about that? Adjusted one setting. We might be okay now. Julie, feel free to tell me if that's a little bit better. So Bev also hasn't had any problems. So it seems like we've got some mixed results here. So now that we've, I've looked at one thing, let me know if anything changes with that. Trevor, yeah, I apologize. One of these days I'm going to get the audio completely perfect on here. It's not exactly the easiest setup, so please speak up. It's certainly not intentional. Good to hear. It's much better now. Trevor, do you have a picture of that? I know you said it quickly dispersed, but let me know if you've got a picture of that. Not necessarily seeing too much that would suggest that to me near Caro, you said. At least nothing that stands out. But always take pictures when you've got them. Okay, Julie, I'm glad that everything is working much better. So for those, it seems like we've got a steady stream here coming in and out. Still this warning in place until 7:45 for areas like Kingston. And this is primarily just southeastern Tuscola County now. Main hazard with any storms that we have seen this evening. Feel free to post that in the comments, Trevor. Much appreciated if you have that. We've got this until 7:45, so Kingston, those areas included in that. Let me just turn the radar off so you can actually see the warning box. It's right about here. Mayville, not too concerned about where you're at this point. You're mostly in light rain, it looks like. So Mayville, I think you're safe at the moment. I still would be careful of any cloud-to-ground lightning in the area. But the worst of this has now passed you by. Juniata Township, most of this is to your northwest. Vassar is not warned, and neither is the cell that is on the northeast side of Saginaw County and southwestern Bay County. So just going to take a quick moment here to just gather for a second. Just taking a look at some reports. So Shirley says clearing south of Mayville, so that's a good sign. So the fact that it's 7:18, I think this warning is going to be gone by 7:45. So that's good. And really, again, nothing terribly eye-opening. As far as anything that's more than just some gusty winds, not necessarily seeing any rotation. The radar picking up on winds that are certainly lower than what we had earlier, but again, this is farther away from the radar site, so playing this cautiously. Yeah, Trevor, if you could send that to meteorologist Chris Eastlick, that'd be great. And it looks like you just did. Trevor, you're the man. Thanks for sending that. Okay, Miranda, right from Kingston. Awesome to have that report. Thank you so much. Lots of rain, but the wind isn't really bad anymore. So that's some ground truth. And that goes along with something that we want you to know quite a bit is that oftentimes your reports are some of the best things that we can have. We would love to have a person in every single town telling us what's going on, but reports like that, especially coming from the Kingston area, to let us know that some of those winds in that area are starting to come down. Very crucial to have those reports, so really can't thank you enough for sending that in. Here is a picture of the entire radar tonight. Just to give you a full scope of what's going on. That warning, you can see it right there at the beginning of the loop, southeastern Tuscola County, just to the south of Cairo. And then we have just some areas of heavy rain, it looks like, southwest of there, repeating itself through Shiawassee County, headed towards Genesee County once again. Looks like we have a new special weather statement for Sandusky and Marlette. That's going into Sanilac County. So what that tells me for the moment is we'll zoom in to this area right here. So that's Sandusky, Marlette, and Deckerville. So pretty much from here all the way up into this area. It tells me that the Weather Service is not going to extend that right now. They're going to roll with a special weather statement rather than a severe thunderstorm warning. So again, just to put something right here, Marlette up through Sandusky and Deckerville. So it's this area right here that they are including in a special weather statement. Let's see if I can outline that special weather statement box right about there. So it's this area in gray. That is the special weather statement box. Turn off some of the, see if I can get rid of some of the flash, or the, small craft advisories. Just to turn down some of the noise on here maybe. But regardless, it's this area right here. That they are allowing a special weather statement, and that's for winds of 55 miles per hour and pea-sized hail. So that's in addition to the severe thunderstorm warning that is currently working its way through southeastern Tuscola until 7:45. All right, so Trevor, I'm looking at that photo right now, seeing if I can pull it up. It certainly looks like you've got some lowering there, Trevor. Without seeing it live, it's tough to see. But appreciate you sending that in. Went back and looked at some of the areas that you reported that to see if anything stood out rotation-wise. Didn't really see that. So that's good. And again, anyone who's joining the stream tonight, really not seeing anything with that. It's still primarily this straight line wind threat. And again, if you know anybody through Mayville, let's back this up to 45 minutes so we can actually get this through. I would say this area right here, this is about 45 minutes ago. Going from Millington right towards Mayville is when we saw that burst of wind that likely triggered the warning in the first place. I think those are the areas that probably had the best chance for those winds that exceed 60 miles per hour or so. But has since come down as it's moved towards Kingston, and we did get that report a little bit earlier that Kingston was not, at least the part of Kingston we got the report from, the wind wasn't necessarily all that bad anymore. And considering they're opting to take a special weather statement into Sanilac County, again, I think is a good sign. No warnings with any of this that's going through southern Bay County right now. There's just likely some torrential rain passing through that area, mostly south of Munger. Looks like we're getting to Brown Road, Kinney Road. This is headed towards western Tuscola County. It should pass through just south of Quantico and Bradleyville. And again, not a warning on that. Likely still included in the special weather statement. But that's been around for the last hour or so, and that looks like it's going to expire in 5 minutes. So we'll see if the Weather Service opts to do anything with that. If anyone else has a report, that would be fantastic. If you've seen anything tonight, Jeff says Saginaw is clear. Yeah, Jeff, not really seeing much around Saginaw anymore. We got pounded with rain here at the station for about 5 minutes, but that has since moved away. Yeah, Trevor, I don't mean to diminish your report or anything like that. There might have been some slight spinning there. It's just really tough to see with a still image. So I still appreciate you sending that in. I would just say that there can be some spinning sometimes, even in the absence of really strong rotation. Storms can have a tendency to rotate a little bit. Doesn't necessarily mean anything tornadic, but always good to get those ground reports. So please do not hesitate to send that in. Scott's giving me a report out of the Mayville area. We've got some branches littering the roads. Certainly no surprise to me, considering some of the wind that went through there, that strong wind signature. It would explain the power outages, that's for sure. But yeah, it looks like at least some of this is quieting down. Still some heavier cells that are around Shiawassee County, right around Vernon and Durand. Got some good lightning strikes happening there, some torrential rainfall for an area that just got some rain a little while ago. Kim says Munger just got clobbered with rain. Sun is coming out now behind that rain in Munger. Justina, what about Pigeon? So Pigeon's on the northern side of this. I don't anticipate a lot happening in Pigeon with the way things are looking right now, because over time, as we go through this evening, we're going to start seeing the frontal boundary dive to the south a little bit, and so that's going to take some of this storm threat with it. And you notice the farther you go north here, there's just not as much happening in the northern half of the area. Nick says clearing in New Lothrop. Nick, appreciate you. Good to have a ground report there. Just to take a break from the radar for a second, let's just zoom into Sandusky really quick, or the west side of Sanilac County near Sandusky. We've still got some tremendous lightning ongoing here. But still, even with that storm starting to move into Sanilac County, just not as strong of a wind signature anymore. No warning from the National Weather Service. Kim asks, will the temps come down with this? Why not? Let's go to our high temperature map for tomorrow. Appears so. We've got 60s for lows tonight. Some low 70s might mix in with some of our hotter locations. But it definitely looks cooler tomorrow. I think there will be some mugginess in places. I think some dew points that still are kind of in that 63, 64 kind of range might show themselves at times tomorrow. But that's certainly better than dew points in the upper 60s to low 70s. So that's a positive development with that. I think tomorrow, even with a little bit of mugginess, significantly better than what we've had. And enjoy it while it lasts. Humidity the next several days likely just going back up again as we head towards the weekend. So it doesn't look too bad right now going into Wednesday. But Thursday and Friday ramps back up again, and even into Saturday and Sunday. Looks like we've got some dew points between the mid-60s to low 70s. So pretty similar to what we have been saying. So Jenna says pretty good storm in St. John's. Scared to say your comment verbatim, Jenna, but I appreciate the perspective. And the Weather Service is going to ramp that up in Sanilac County. So we have a new warning. So it looks like we're getting enough evidence for a new warning here. This one is for Sanilac County all the way to the lakeshore. So let me get the full scope of this right here. Pull up the warning banner. So we've got a severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 8:30 for Sanilac County. So Zachariah, 53 and Severance Road between D Ford and Cass City. Had some rotation there. Zachariah, if you got any pictures, feel free to send those in if you had anything that you caught on camera, whether it's a picture or video. I know Trevor had a little bit of a problem earlier posting it in the comment section of the live, but feel free to send that to meteorologist Chris Eastlick on Facebook if you can find that. If you have anything, of course, we'll appreciate anything. Durand has a 30-minute rain delay, which is a good idea considering we've got some of that storminess in that area. Severe thunderstorm warning for Sanilac County. That one's got winds of around 60 miles per hour, penny-sized hail, according to the Weather Service. That one moving eastward at about 30 miles per hour. So let's do a storm track on that. We'll do it on the main edge here. And we'll follow the warning. So that one looks like it's headed towards Sandusky a little bit closer to 740. McGregor about 750. Deckerville 754. Forrester at about 806. So this morning looks like it'll be with us for roughly about the next half hour or so. So if you're any of these areas, you've got some cloud-to-ground lightning to deal with, some torrential rain, which we've had several reports. And we'll give you a sense of the motion here the last 30 minutes. Weather Service seeing enough for them to go from a special weather statement back to a severe thunderstorm warning. Originally, as some of that moved into the county, they covered that with winds of up to 55 miles per hour, but it sounds like enough evidence for them to boost the awareness on that just a little bit more. And we do have a new special weather statement for the Flint area. So I'll clear this off. Deckerville, Sandusky, in that area, we're not going to forget about you. Your main hazard with that is 60 mile per hour winds. But to just go back to the Shiawassee County area, also going into Genesee County, they've got a new special weather statement for that. That is for hail that's around 1/4 inch. And wind up to 55 miles per hour. And so I think we'll probably have to watch that one a little bit closely. If the hazard is up to 55 mile per hour winds, you're only about 3 miles per hour away from a severe thunderstorm warning. And it looks like this one, just to the east of Durand now, at least the healthiest part of that, in southwest of Swartz Creek, it looks like some of the reflectivity, some of those deeper shades of red starting to pulse up again. Also a healthy cell that's just to the southwest of Grand Blanc. So we've got 50 to 55 mile per hour winds in this special weather statement that is covering both the eastern side of Shiawassee County and Genesee County. And those winds are around 50 to 55 miles per hour. So again, just shy of warning criteria. And then we've still got this severe thunderstorm warning until, let's see, that's the special weather statement. We got to go inside the weather statement to get the warning. That one goes for another hour. So again, that one up to about 8:30. Taking a look at the wind velocity. Likely getting some wind out on the leading edge of this, right about here. And just to double check our rotation, not really a tornadic setup tonight, but stranger things have happened in the thumb, so we always look at things pretty closely just to be on the safe side. You've got, the lake breeze coming off the water. Sometimes that can play some tricks on us, but not seeing anything right now that's terribly concerning. That warning doesn't also have anything indicating that either. Usually we get like a tornado possible tag if there's something to worry about with that. Not seeing that tonight. So the Weather Service in Detroit has the same interpretation of that as I do. Let's get back to some of the Facebook comments. Haven't seen anything new here. Raphael, nothing in Saginaw. Yeah, not for the moment. Did have some good rain downtown, but depends on what part of Saginaw you're talking about. You could be in Saginaw Township, perhaps. Just some torrential rain happening with some of this that has been passing through tonight. So just to get a radar estimate of some of this rain, some of it estimated between about 1.5 inches to maybe over 3 inches per hour, which seems pretty realistic for summertime downpours. New special weather statement coming in for the area around Cass City. So let's go back to that area here. Weather Service is allowing for a warning, or special weather statement. Special weather statement. Let me pop that up. Let's see if we can get an outline on that. It's going to get a little noisy here because there's some statements going out over the bay as well. But it's this region right here that is not under a warning, but it's another special weather statement that's indicating we've got wind potential of up to 50 to 55 miles per hour here. And the threat is for hail that's around 1/4 inch, so likely some pea-sized hail or maybe up to penny-sized hail. That seems to be the MO of these storms tonight. Plus the torrential rain and all this lightning that has been passing through as well. So let me just see while we're kind of in a holding pattern here with the radar. So it seems like we've updated everybody here within the last couple of minutes. Let's just take a look and see if we got some radar estimated rainfall totals. Let's just go over the last 6 hours. This will take a minute to load. And the key word here is estimates. So it's not perfect, but it might give us some good sampling on who has seen what. So forgive me if the text is a little small, but taking a look at some of the estimates around that storm on the western side of Tuscola County, already estimated up to about 1.6, just shy of 3, maybe southwest of Owasso. Just south of Owasso, around 2.5, 2.8, 1.8 southeast of Ashley, 0.9, 0.9, 1.3. So yeah, you're getting the sense that we might have some rainfall totals tonight between about 1 to 3 inches where some of these downpours have come through. And that's certainly not unheard of considering the pattern we've been in for the last couple of days. Haven't seen any flash flooding reports, so that's pretty good. Really interested to see, based on some of the rain that we had last week, plus some of the downpours that we have had in recent days, to see if we finally get an update on the drought monitor this week. That's more of a long-term thing. I know over the last couple of weeks we've been sharing some information about the drought monitor, and I know many of you, rightfully so, have been saying we've got plenty of downpours lately. How on earth are we still in drought? It's more of a long-term thing. It dates all the way back to October. So that's why once you get in drought, especially when it's been that long, it's really tough to get out. Scott says, any storms after dusk, will they get strong? I think rain is possible after dusk. I think we're still going to be unsettled for a little while longer. But I think the further into the night we go, the intensity is naturally going to come down a little bit. I'm looking through some other comments, not seeing too many pop up. Yeah, I think we're dealing with this probably for the next hour or two. Here's a look at the hour-by-hour forecast. It's looking at some of these storms that are passing through right now. Keeps them around at various times through about 10, 11 o'clock. I wouldn't be shocked with how they're moving through now if we're done sooner than that. But I think by midnight you can rest easy. And I think even after your area experiences some of the rain that is passing through right now, if you're getting rain at the moment, if you're getting thunder at the moment, that's using up some of the energy that we have left for the day. So we're seeing some repeats in Shiawassee and Genesee County, some of those areas getting hit hard for the second time with some of this heavy rain. But the more times we do that, the more times we use up that energy that's already kind of fading away at this time of day, certainly the lesser chance we have of seeing anything continue into the rest of the night. So still just the one warning. We've got some development, it looks like, off one of those boundaries. If you see this green shaded area here, that is likely what we call outflow from showers and thunderstorms that passed through earlier. And where you see that passing through, you actually get this area near Ionia that popped up after that outflow boundary moved through. So you get these little boundaries that are similar to cold fronts with air that's rushing out of storms. And they can almost act like mini cold fronts and just lead to more development. So you're getting some of that's developing in some of those areas. And then we did get that report from Jenna a little bit earlier saying there was a heck of a storm through St. John's. And actually it looks like, Jenna, you're getting set to get hit again if you're still watching the live stream. Anna says, what about Harbor Beach? Harbor Beach is in the vicinity of this warning, just to the south. You've got a decent distance between. Got about 15 miles, but right now it looks like the worst of it is mostly headed south of you. I think if Harbor Beach has a chance, it might be with some of this that is currently working its way through northern Tuscola County, moving in that direction. But no warnings on that part of it. Let's see what we've got. Let's take a look at some of our wind velocities. Go over to the storm that's currently warned. So this section right here stands out with some of the lighter shades of red, sort of on the front end. Just past Moore, seems to be right along M19, and some of those strongest winds might be just east of M19 now. So Deckerville, let's do a new storm track on this. Let's get back to our basic reflectivity. We'll send this out about 35 miles per hour. And then just expand that right along the polygon there. So Deckerville probably within the next 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Forrester around 8:06. Port Sanilac about 8:07. So roughly within the next 20 to 25 minutes. Some of those areas. Clear some of this off. That warning's still going till 8:30. Looking at any of the areas that are under the special weather statement. Wind velocity here doesn't seem too bad. Got some heavier showers still. Sally says Bay City still and beautiful. Good to hear that some areas are quiet for now. Check back with these cells around Grand Blanc, Swartz Creek. Still no warnings associated with those, but some special weather statements for winds that could get up to about 55 miles per hour, and also some pea-sized hail and torrential rain. And I would say this area too, considering we've already had some heavy rain go through these areas, keep in mind, could be some areas of some minor flooding. Haven't seen any flood advisories or anything like that, but likely some standing water in some certain areas. And then just to give a sample, since we've got the time, that's the beauty of these live broadcasts. We're not tied to 3 minutes on TV. We've got about 11 positive strikes of lightning near Swartz Creek and 11 negative strikes, so enough for 22 total. Just in one storm, that's pretty substantial. Usually our positive strikes are the really loud ones. Some of our most dangerous strikes. So the fact that we've got a good amount of positive strikes is enough to have some attention in that area. Some pretty good lightning ongoing in the severe warned storm that is crossing M19 or has crossed M19 recently. About 11 positive strikes with that too. So some dangerous lightning with that cell. So here's your full picture. We'll zoom out just because we have some folks asking about areas that are outside this rain. It is quieter the further north you still go. So Jessica saying Beaverton is still good. No surprise there. Do have some rain ongoing in some of those areas, but looks like significantly lighter rain. If you do have some damage reports, again, especially out of Mayville, extending back into Millington, would appreciate those. Did get a report of some branches being down. Taking a look on our other computer here, we'll just let the radar loop for a second to see if we can find out. Doesn't look like there's any watches that are imminent from the Storm Prediction Center or anything like that, so that's good. Seems like our pretty standard severe weather warnings that are happening for tonight. Again, not to diminish them, but certainly not qualifying to the point where we're talking about a widespread severe weather outbreak or anything like that. Bobby says sky is super dark 5 miles south of Ubley. Certainly would expect that considering what is off to your south. Let's see how tall these thunderstorms are tonight. So you've got Ubley right here. If you're looking south from Ubley, we can take just a slice right through the most intense part of that storm. It looks like they're reaching up with what looks to be about 30,000 feet at least, maybe 35, 40. Angie asking, what about Flint? Angie, you've got some good rainfall happening near you. Depends on what side of Flint you're on. Seems like the worst of it is mostly to your southwest. And Bobby says winds picking up too. Yeah, you're likely getting some of the outflow from some of the storms to your south. But yeah, Flint's not under a warning for the time being, Bobby. Or, excuse me, Angie, you were the one who asked about Flint. Looks like it's primarily a heavy rain threat. There's probably some gusty winds going on in some of the more intense parts of that storm, but not necessarily enough to lead to a warning or anything like that. At least not right now. Looking through the comments here. So we're pretty much just riding this one out for now. Going through Sanilac County. It's right to about Sandusky now. So the west side of the county, Marlette, you're in the clear. Kingston, right now just seeing some, looks like garden variety showers. Yeah, Angie, on the north side, you're a little bit more removed from some of the more intense stuff to your south. Still likely going to get some rain. But yeah, it looks like Looks like the worst of it is a little bit south of you. So the warning still goes till 8:30. Through Sanilac County, still not seeing anything that would indicate anything other than mostly a wind threat at this point. The wind on radar not standing out quite as much as it was earlier, so we'll see if the Weather Service takes this to 8:30. And then looking a little bit farther to the south, looks like we've got some decent wind here. So let's back this up just a bit. Again, not enough to qualify for a warning, but seeing some spikes in here indicating about 30 to 40 miles per hour. And again, that's just picking up what the radar is picking up. I still wouldn't rule out any gusts that are over 40 or 50 miles per hour based on just how things have played out so far. Linda asked about Harbor Beach. Harbor Beach, you're not necessarily... Yeah, you've got a lot of time in Harbor Beach. I can't necessarily say some of this in northern Tuscola County can't reach you, but you've got time. You've got still quite a bit to go before you get there. If you're in Saginaw, anyone watching in Saginaw all the way back to Thomas Township, you're in the clear. So right along M46 as you start getting out into Shields, into Merrill, Kochville Township, Freeland, Bay City, all clear. Shiawassee County, you're getting a break. You've got what looks like another storm just to your west, but it also looks like this storm in St. John's. We'll watch it a little bit longer. But it doesn't seem like some of these cells have the staying power that they had earlier in the evening, so we're probably using up a lot of that fuel. So if you've got a report, again, send it my way. Would really love to have that. We checked the power outages map. And there weren't necessarily widespread outages, but we were seeing something. Kind of a few sporadic outages here and there. And this is where, again, our concern is for the most part. Put that up, the warning goes until 8:30. So I'll just check those outage maps again. Well, we've got that radar loop. We've got a few north of Owasso, one just to the south of Swartz Creek, it seems. A few smaller outages, it looks like. It seems like they're very isolated tonight. We've got a few scattered around Genesee County as well. Into the thumb, of course, we're starting to get into DTE territory. So pulling up that website now for DTE. Now we're starting to get more. Looks like we've got wind damage. Some of these reported at about 741. And then I'm looking over, we've got what looks like an outage near Cass City, one that's just to the northeast of Cairo. All of these are coming in around the times that we have seen these storms come through. I'm not seeing any reported in Sanilac County yet, so that's good. Hopefully we're seeing this weekend a little bit. We've got
what looks like around 107 customers without power near Mayville, about 72 near Millington, through portions of Lapeer County, about 50 to the west of Lapeer and about 52 to the east. Near Attica and Imlay City, the ones west of Lapeer are around Elba. But yeah, really starting to see things center between that Millington and Mayville area. Also looks like we have a power outage report near Kindy, but that happened much earlier today. Okay. So we've got roughly about a half hour to go if this morning goes that long. And yeah, some of these cells that are west of Shiawassee County clearly looks like they're kind of running into an environment that's just not quite as strong as it was earlier. So I think we're using up a lot of that fuel that we had earlier in the evening. Let me see if we've still got any special weather statements around. Looks like we still have the one in northern Tuscola for 50 to 55 miles per hour. Still seeing that one in southern Genesee County as well. But unlike that Sanilac County storm, we haven't seen a big upgrade here. So that's a positive sign. Wind and thunder starting to pick up in Hadley. Thanks for the report, Don. Adam says, hi, Adam, good to see you. Just to take a break for the radar real quick. Again, a lot of people have been asking, when do we finally get some relief from the heat? We do get a little bit tonight. We're falling down to the 60s, and then tomorrow looks like primarily 70s. So it should feel much better. If we take a look at the heat index into tomorrow, out the door 60s and 70s, so still not probably where you want to be. Usually like those mornings, like the low 60s, that seems to be the sweet spot. But yeah, heat index tomorrow only gets up to around the upper 70s to mid 80s, so some improvement there. So if anyone was watching the stream to find out about anything about the heat, and then as we go towards the weekend, we're right back up, mid 80s on Saturday, near 90 on Sunday. So not much of a break, but a little bit of a break the next couple of days. All right, so it even looks like some of these cells in northern Tuscola County, they're still getting some downpours, but even some of those are weakening, so I think that's a good sign. Wind velocity, still some stronger winds out ahead of the main part here, Sandusky to Deckerville. So Deckerville, if it's not windy already, it may be soon. I'm not seeing anything that stands out for any concerning areas of rotation right now. It does look like we've got some green and red close together, but wouldn't necessarily say it's anything that would suggest a really tight area of rotation or anything like that. Thanks for joining the stream, Sherry. Appreciate you. Like these streams, I know tonight it's not the most exciting weather we're having. We're not getting tons of damage pictures, which is a good thing, but it also doesn't make for a very interesting stream. We're just kind of hanging out here for the last couple of hours. But I think things are moving in a pretty good direction right now. So that warning continues for another half hour. So radar estimated rainfall totals, we've gone over that. Seems like some of the estimations are around 1 to 3 inches of rain in some of these areas that have been hit hardest by some of these showers and storms. That's been kind of the secondary factor tonight. In addition to the warnings that we've had pop up occasionally, it's been primarily just a heavy torrential rain, which some areas could still use, but I know some are hoping probably for at least a slight break, considering some of the rain of last week. But if you still needed some tonight, well, some of you got your wish. Matt, clouds starting to get darker in Port Sanilac. I can imagine that. That's for sure. And it won't be too long probably until you start feeling some of that breeze out ahead of the storm too. Probably still a good lightning show on the way for some of you tonight. Especially in this area, but it even looks like some of the lightning is really starting to drop off into some of these cells around Cass City and DeFord. Still some pretty good showers here, getting set to move back into Grand Blanc. Going right over 475 and 75 right now. Had some flooding issues there going back into the weekend. And considering some of those areas had some flooding over the weekend and have already had some heavy rain. Let me see if we can pull up our Flint camera in that area and see if we've got anything overly concerning along 75. Let's go to that camera right now. Let's pull it up and see what happens. We've got some sun breaking through. Traffic doesn't seem to be too bothered. Still clearly some rain ongoing, but not terrible. And then a look at Flint. Yeah, we've got a downpour happening here. Almost looks like we got a little snow going on. Obviously that's not the case, but with how hard it's raining and the way the light is shining. So for all 52 of you who are still hanging on this stream, I know we've been at it for quite a bit. We're almost done. We've got just about 20 more minutes to go, a little bit longer than that. We still have this warning through Sanilac County, Deckerville, Forester, Sandusky, all included in this, and it looks like Sandusky even you'll be able to wind down here in a minute. Some of the cells in Tuscola County losing their steam, and pretty much just a heavy rain threat, perhaps some gusty winds in some of those showers on the south side of Genesee County as well. I'm going to check my Facebook page to see if anything has come through in the comments there. Looks like I did get a damage report from Spencer. Got a tree down, or at least a hefty branch down. So Spencer, I'm not sure if you're on this stream. You're usually pretty good with reports. Based on your history, I'm guessing that might have been in St. Charles. Michelle Duncan reporting about a ½ inch of rain in the Burt area. Susan said a nice rain in Frankenmuth, and Dave got some fierce winds just south of Mayville. So I'm going to ask Dave if he has any damage. So that kind of confirms that warning. Let's see what else we've got. Yeah, Spencer's sending me some pretty hefty tree branches down. Seeing a lot of shelf cloud pictures. Yeah, and this is the type of scenario where we're going to get shelf clouds. Little development here, right around Deerfield Township. Not a ton of lightning, but certainly some heavy rain. Looks like we've got a strike just to the south of Columbiaville. And still some lightning hanging on through portions of Grand Blanc right now. And still plenty in the storm through Sanilac too. So thanks again for everybody who has sent their reports. Matt, if you search meteorologist Chris Eastlick on Facebook, you can send it to my inbox. If it's not letting you post a picture in the comments, which it's kind of frustrating that Facebook won't allow you to do that on a live, you can send it to my inbox on my meteorologist Facebook page. Be certainly happy to have that. And if you do send that, let me know when you did, and I can take a quick look. So looking off to the west, some good news for Shiawassee County. You've already been hit enough tonight with some of the heavy rain. So your cells that are going through St. John seem to be diminishing as they move east. So hopefully you continue to get a break. The cell near Ionia briefly fizzled out after developing. It looks like it's trying to gain some steam once again. Not much happening in the Tri-Cities region. It's pretty much the thumb and some of these areas extending a little bit farther back to the west. And sorry for the dead air, just kind of scrolling through some of the Facebook comments that we have. Did get a picture from Karen in Carlton. Looks like a nice rainbow that was there after some of the storms moved through. So I'll do one more storm track on the severe thunderstorm warning. Moving east at about 35. So let's do another storm track along the leading edge of this and just take it out all the way to the lakeshore here. Port Sanilac about 8:18. Richmondville about 8:15. Forester about 8:14. Applegate 8:09. And so some of those areas, you'll see that here before you know it. Sample some of the wind. And again, always want you to know that this is just what the radar is detecting at the certain height that it's viewing storms. So it seems like it's detecting about 20 to 30 miles per hour, but just keep in mind some of the wind that's below that could be a little bit stronger. So the fact that the warning's in place, we still want to respect that. Not seeing any areas that are concerning with rotation. This looks like still, again, more of a wind signature. I know we've got some red and green kind of close together, but not seeing anything that's necessarily standing out at the moment. So it looks like this storm, for the most part, is just doing what it's been doing. Not necessarily seeing any spikes in the wind as it moves off to the east. Matt, if you dropped off the stream or if you walked away for a second, again, feel free to send that picture to me if you had one. Taking a look at another area we get reports. It looks like, Matt, you finally sent that to me, or it's finally coming through. Appreciate that. Yeah, certainly getting dark there. Some ominous clouds off in the distance. Almost looks like you've got a little bit of a shelf formation there too. And then again, just a wider view. If anyone's hopping on here a little bit late, we've been at this for quite a while. And it seems like most of the warnings are starting to wind down here. We've got this one cell just to the southwest of Gratiot County. No lightning associated with that yet, it looks like. But also going into an environment that's just probably not as good as it was earlier. Any other severe threat as we go through tonight is, again, going to be diminishing the further into the night we go. Gusty winds the main threat with that, along with this heavy rain. So western side of Sanilac County, you are now in the clear. Just to take a look at the warnings, and did that go away? Yeah, it looks like the Weather Service has now allowed that warning to be canceled in favor of more of a special weather statement. So that is good news. So I think with that, looks like the special weather statement's for winds of about 55. So that kind of goes along with some of the weaker wind signatures we've been seeing. So that's good. I think what we will do now is we will take advantage of that because we still have a 10 o'clock newscast to get ready for. So if anything else pops up, we'll let you know on social media. Right now, it looks like things have come down a little bit. We've still got some pockets of heavy rain, still some pockets of cloud-to-ground lightning, but so far, no warnings. A few special weather statements that have indicated we've gotten some wind potential still up to about 50 to 55 miles per hour or so. But a lot of the thunderstorms seem to be losing a little bit of steam here. We'll watch things still pretty closely just to be on the safe side. But I think we're in a good position to allow the stream to drop off here. And we'll prepare for our newscasts a little bit later tonight. And if anything else comes up along the way, we'll be sure to let you know. So thanks to everybody who contributed and had your comments. The damage pictures that were sent to not only us through email, but also my Facebook page, meteorologist Chris Eastlick, if you ever need to send a report there. And otherwise, we'll see you on the 10 o'clock news or 11 o'clock news or on future live streams as we do every day now at 2 o'clock with either meteorologist Diane Phillips or meteorologist Stone Schaefer. We will see you then.